What's going on, guys? For the story to be continued, after we went to that seminar, it was a great seminar. First time I had been around an environment like that of like-minded people, and after the seminar is when reality hits in. We went full steam, and to be honest, we struggled. We struggled a good bit. We did okay our first year, but everybody struggles their first year. But I think we did like 30,000 in revenue, but it really was zero. We didn't profit anything because we didn't know what we were doing with marketing, and thank God I was still living with my parents at the time, but that's where things got pretty interesting. My business partner, he was also living with his family at the time. His dad worked at I guess you call it a power plant, huge, big time, like nuclear power plant, and they closed it. And they shut it down. I guess it didn't financially make any sense, so they shut it down, and so he was looking for another job of the similar thing that he did. So he picked up from where we lived in South Carolina and was about to move to Florida. And I remember very, very distinctly, I went and I got lunch one day with my business partner, and he was talking about moving and stuff, and I was like, dude, I knew, because I had this dream of having this real estate company and it really doing something. And I remember talking to him, and I was like, dude, if you move, it's done. I mean, there's no way that we're going to continue to run this thing, with you living in a totally different state, it's just not going to work. It's just not going to happen. And so I just thinking quickly, I was like, hey man, what if you moved in with me? It's like, what are you talking about? No, I'm not going to do that, Like, no, man, hey, I'm serious. What if you moved in with me and my family, and we worked on this thing, and it became something, And I went and spoke with my stepdad and my mother, and they were game for it. And so he did. So he moved in and he lived with us for about a year from there. And that year was pretty much the first year of the business that I was talking about a minute ago. And so remember I was talking about in one of the other videos about I never really considered I've ever failed. This is one of those times. We didn't fail, but we did run out of money. And got to the point where we had to get jobs, and so we did what we thought was best. We said, hey, what can we do that has the most potential? We don't want to work hourly, so we said, let's get sales positions. And so we studied and we got our insurance license, and we worked at a insurance place. I'm not going to say their name, but it was pretty much a complete scam. I worked there for like 2 months. I worked a little bit. I worked there a little bit longer than my my now business partner, and I think in 2 months I made like $60 or something, of which I easily spent on gas alone. So really, I lost money. You consider time, energy, and everything. It was just a nightmare working at that place. And while working there, one of our main buyers hit us up and was like, hey, y'all got jobs now? We're like, yeah, we got jobs. They're like, I thought y'all were hustlers. Why do y'all have jobs? We're like, man, we had to. We ran into money. He said, hey, why don't you come work for me? And y'all can learn or something. And so we ended up, what really, to back up a little bit, that was a really big deal, that point in time there. You know how they say there's a fork in the road, and they come up in everybody's life, and you're either going to go right or you're going to go left, and it's going to change the direction of your life forever. And you just kind of hope to make the best decision. That was certainly a fork in the road, and I knew it at the time. To back up that story a little bit, while we were working that insurance position, we figured out, okay, this thing is a scam. Because I just noticed that they were turning over people so rapidly, it was insane. And I remember we were in one of the sales meetings, and they were like clapping for people who had done well. And one of the people they were clapping for, who was like one of the supposedly had done among the best out of everybody there, we were looking at the numbers, like adding up his commissions, and we started researching what is the poverty line in South Carolina, and he was in it. I'm like, you mean to tell me your best sales guy is in the legitimate poverty line in South Carolina? And we were like, man, we gotta run. We need to run for our lives. Like, this is not it. This is not going to help us. And so we ended up actually lining up another job. It was another sales position working at this company that basically set up. It was like all over the country, setting up truckers to pick up their product and to ship it somewhere else. And you were constantly, doing that all day. And it was actually a great opportunity. $30,000 a year, guaranteed salary. And then you would make commissions on that, and then you would take home whichever was greater, your salary or the commissions. And awesome opportunity. Well, I got mine secured, and I think my business partner, he went and did his interview, and he got his secured as well. And that weekend, like, it was Friday, and we were going to start on Monday. And that's when we spoke to that main buyer that we had at the time. And he said, hey, why don't you guys come work with us? We came in there and kind of checked out what they had going on. And we made a decision that rather than accepting $30,000 a year salary, we were going to go yet again into full commission. No guarantees whatsoever. And we said, we're going to do this. This makes more sense for us because we're going to learn more like this. And I think that is so important that people need, you have to make decisions based on that, not based off always monetary. Obviously, we're going to make more money with the salary, but this had much more learning opportunity. And so that weekend we called and said, hey, thanks for the position, but we're not going to accept it. And they were not too happy. It was a very serious company. Their interview process was grueling. They just ripped into us to find out, why did you work here for this amount of time? Why were you because I didn't want to tell them I was an entrepreneur. They don't like entrepreneurs because they think you're going to get the money and run, And it was grueling. And so they were very upset that they allowed us to get in and then we didn't even take the spot. So anyways, we went and worked for this other wholesaling company. And we only worked there for a short period of time. One of the first properties we went and walked, we met a bunch of people there. We showed up at the house. We're trying to find who the seller is. There's like 5 people outside. We're like, who are all these people? And there was a guy there, and he also changed the course of the direction of our business. We're walking around the house, and I always like to describe it this way because this was important it's a lesson on not judging. It's a lesson on, I have come to learn this for myself. One of the lessons in life that I have learned is you never know who you are standing next to. You'll be a complete stranger and you don't know who that is. Meaning something very positive or meaning something very negative. You know what I mean? Like, you just have no clue who that person is. They could be, I don't know, like the child of Bill Gates, or they could be Jeffrey Dahmer or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just have no clue who you're sitting next to. And that was it was in the positive direction this time. We were walking on the house, and this guy was there, and as I said, it was a lesson in not judging, because this was his appearance. Like ripped up, ratty clothing, had paint stains all over him. I mean, he looked like your typical contractor. It looks like he was painting houses and crawling underneath houses all day. And that's what he was doing. And I'm not going to mention his name, but, you know, just to protect his identity. But this guy, you know, again, about the appearance of him, he had very messed up teeth, you know? And so when anyone would see this person, you would say, there's no way this person has money at all. Well, you were wrong. I'm walking in the house, and he's kind of talking about some things. This guy knows his stuff. Wow. And so I got talking to him outside of the house. And he's like, yeah, I'm a wholesaler too. I'm like, oh, really? Wow. And we said, you know, so like, what kind of volume do you do? And he said, I typically do, you know, I'll typically make like 8,000 to 10,000 a deal. That's not what we were doing at the time. And he goes, and I typically do like 8 to 10 deals a month. I did quick math in my head, and I said, you mean to tell me this guy standing in front of me is making $100,000 a month, $1.2 million a year? I was like, holy cow. Well, I got talking to him, and that became our first mentor. I'm not going to expose his name, you know, because later down the road, he ended up scamming us. And that's a little further down the story, though. I don't hate the man, though, because he did change the direction of my business. He taught us how to consistently do deals, you know, the right way to do this stuff. And it's some of the things we still do to this day. And we ended up creating a great relationship with this guy. I mean, we would talk on a weekly basis for sure. Sometimes even a daily basis. I would ask him every question under the sun about real estate. We got, you know, very connected with this guy. And he did have a lot of connections in the city. He got us connected to our first hedge fund. So a lot of people don't know this, but there are literally Wall Street hedge funds, multi-billion-dollar hedge funds that buy up single-family houses all across the United States. And he had a connection to one. And he said, and the value of them is they pay, guys, typical Miami is people revving their engines. The value of those hedge funds is that they buy in massive volume, they never run out of money, and they pay almost retail for these properties. Meaning they pay almost what a normal family would pay for a perfectly good house. They pay that for a distressed property. So you could make more money with them. And so he said, hey, I'll get you guys connected. I don't know if this was true or not, but he at least claimed that he was the only one that this hedge fund would work with. And so we could sell to them, but we could sell to them, but we had to pay like $1,000 a deal. And so this is a very important lesson for anybody to learn, and I had to learn it the hard way. We did a lot of cash transactions with him, where we would literally sell him a deal or sell a deal through him, and we would meet with him later and literally hand him cash. We would, you know, because he'd be coming through the area, he was working on a house, and he'd like, hey, you know, let's meet up. And so we'd meet with him, just chat with him a while, hand him the cash. It was a great relationship. We didn't think anything about it. Well, like I said, he ended up scamming us. Later down the road, he ended up going through some sort of divorce or something. It was a divorce. And I don't want to get too many details, but basically he claimed that he was flipping a house and that he needed some money to finish renovating the house. And he asked if we could loan it to him, and he'd give it back in 30 days. And at first he was like, "Oh, I'll give you like $500 back," and I was like, to be honest, dude, like I don't even care about $500. I was like, you know, I'll do it because I'm cool with you. I'll do it for 1,000. You know, if I give you 6, you give me back 7. You know, at the end of the month, and it's fine. Well, here's where we got scammed, because there was no paper trail, there was no nothing. We literally, yet again, met with him and just handed him straight cash pulled right out the bank and handed to him. He disappeared off the face of the planet. I don't know what was going on with him. I don't know. I've never heard from him again. We call him, nothing ever. But you know, I'm almost kind of glad, because it taught me that lesson. You know, that you can't trust people like that. You can't just hand somebody cash. There needs to be a paper trail in case of something like this. But anyways, he ended up scamming us, and so we were then on the lookout for a new mentor, and that's where we found our new mentor. And I will talk about that in the next video. So I'll pause this one here, and we'll get to that in the next video. Peace.